Hey, how's it going? Ujjval here, doing another video on the spur of a previous notion. So we're gonna delve into the sastra and the physics tonight. We're gonna do some physics. Because after all, if you don't apply science as much as you can, you're gonna be left with people that will say, well, what about this or what about that? And that's when you're gonna run into problems. Okay. So let's see what we have here is the good time and the Lord ordains. But here's a good one. Na karma, na kama karma bijanam yasya chetashi shambhava vasudevaya vaika nilaya savai bhagavato tamaha. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Nandaram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Dojaya Mudiraye Tvevasmi Najivami Tvaya Vina Itivignaya Radhe Tvam Nayan Sharanantike No Vishvaraya Radhikai Brahmani Shishima Bhakti Ranthanarayan Dinamine. Okay, so we have one who has taken exclusive shelter of the Supreme Lord Vasudeva becomes free from fruitive activities which are based on material lust. In fact, one who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord is freed from even the desire to enjoy material sense gratification. Plans for enjoying sex life, social prestige, and money cannot develop within his mind. Thus he is considered Bhagavatottama, a pure devotee of the Lord on the highest platform. So this is telling us something very, very interesting, and we have to see, is there even such a society built for that? We have to also reconcile. We're easy to point the finger, oh, they're doing this, they're doing that, that group is doing this, but if you look at the refuge, right, the refuge that's going on, is there refuge? Okay, that's the question we have to ask ourselves. Is there actual places to attain these high platforms of salvation in which you can have no desire for anything? Okay, that's only when there's pure substance of religiosity available at all times, and also sheltered, meaning people don't have to depend on an alternate living quarters or space. So that's very good and interesting, and I'm trying to keep it a little short so you guys see it all. Now we're going to go to the book. The book. There you go. If you haven't gotten it, you don't even know what's going on. It's written by Samanich. Well, basically because they haven't explained science, and I did. Because the Geo-Negative axis describes the light perception, okay? Before that, there was no light perception. You couldn't really justify light perception. There was light perception, but you couldn't justify it, meaning, what was it exactly? We know that we can extract energy from it. We know that it provides heat. But how? What is the mechanism? They didn't know. And then I provided the negative axis, the understanding of negativity. Because it was described by gurus, people that actually worthy of having disciples, full disciples. You know, to have a full disciple is very rare. A full guru is very rare too. So when they come, you'll see many gurus, but actual disciple of the guru is very rare. A real disciple. You know, there's followers, there's placates, there's business, and the guru would say, "Hey, I suspect business," you know, but he can't all the time be on top of every person. He has to think about the grand scale. If he stops and if he takes his focus off serving Krishna to help some individual or individual's idea of him, then the guru is not giving his full potential. You understand? And that's what the problem is. That's the big problem of the schema. So let's see what divinity has provided. Okay. The single base negative transfers makes a junction point. The single base negative transfers to make a junction point, in which it leaves you to decide. But with the application of psychoreactor, we can dispense a large scale assortment of multitask and multi-purpose. So it's saying that from a single negative, right? So really an actual, let's say, enjoyment or anything you do is really the beginning of something that you can magnetically, you know, exfoliate. I don't know what you want to call it, like unfold, right? So that's kind of understood already. Something in this is what tests have revealed, that you can make a semiconductor or a basically a transfer station, or they call them transformers. So a transfer station that makes the what is it, the conduit, the conductor, semiconductor, right? That's what it is, semiconductor. And so you're not just conducting energy from one first to the second. So single base negative. Now this applies to everything in life, and that's what the physics books is about. So that's why I basically said that instead of doing a single action, which is very relative to people these days, to simplify things, they just go from A to B, right? Light the fire, turn it off. But really, within lighting that fire, there's so many things they can attribute, right? They contribute mantras, they contribute heat or cooking, right? So many things can happen. So that's something to look out for, and that's part of the DNA of everything. So that's what I fully describe here. In some things, in multi-purpose application of a psychoreactor. So a psychoreactor, you want to get to something bigger. Single base negative is not worthy. It doesn't go to say that you want to take your enjoyment and make it more enjoyment. You want to make your enjoyment be part of something that's grand scale, or part of a whole plan, not for your purpose exactly, but for the higher purpose. Because then you can multiply energy. If you're always thinking of yourself, then the chances are you're going to have a semiconductor or something that's alternate current. You're having an alternate current. So more than an alternate current is a profound current, right? Profound. That's a good word for that. It's profound. I haven't used that word in a while. It's a good word. So yeah. So it is us by nature that as soon as we get gadgets going our way to endure our capabilities to multitask, the more we want to do. As humans in the realm of Earth by nature, as it seeks for the geopositive reality. And that's when seek a psychoreactor. That's when they seek a psychoreactor. Things that we like to do that in reaction award us things we want. Yeah. So there's some typos in this book because of haters that were following me. So they want to make my book look belligerent. So excuse if you occurred that, if that occurred to you, if you have my book. They do that. I've edited my book several times. It's a slight possibility I didn't put those words in, but they try to take out the keywords or something to make the sentence look disabled. But I already explained to everybody that they're criminals, and if it's done, it's their stupidity. Because a person that could explain and everything complete can obviously put sentences together. That's the dumbest thing ever to use against a person. I always thought it's stupid because I was like, go ahead, yeah, get me for that. I just explained more than you did in your so-called professor class, but you want to get me for a comma. Okay, I've always thought it completely stupid of them, and I stand by that. Okay. All right, things that we like to do in reaction award us things that we want. That's when we seek a psychoreactor. That's our design to diminish use of something that left us with an unworthy result. But when we pull it into practice, we found it became a negative, facilitating the next result and completing the resultant in higher form and fashion. coupling, the more negatives, the better. You will always have grandeur to look forward to, positive results that are recurring. Life with negative context cycle can only spread energy and transfer it naturally. It doesn't take for itself. It doesn't diminish in that sense. You see, I just said that. So it's basically it's in the imprint of the ether, and that's how it is. If you have the negative cycle, you're always going to replenish negative context. It doesn't take for itself. It doesn't diminish in that sense. Naturally also means freedom, because we are free by nature when linked to our natural earth function of the geopositive axis, of the geo-negative axis. So we're in nature when we're part of the geo-negative axis. That's how it is. If you're not part of a negative conductor or a profound conductor, then you're basically diminishing energy. You're trying to grab on everything. You're trying to succulate, and in the course of that, you're probably leaving out entire civilizations, which is actually going on right now. And not only that, you're stupefying to the level of destroying people's lives completely and taking their children, their families away. And so many stupid things are going on in the name of so-called sanity. But it's just men using their power and their bad will, basically. The power they have, they're misusing it. That's all it is. Okay? A lot of men, some women too. Women, rally the men or whatever it is. They say it's okay. They despise others. They count themselves in to feel better about themselves. They count themselves in before others. That's what ends up happening. And then they go cut you in the line. They'll be like, how come you let us cut you in the line? I thought you were all about psycho. Completely psycho. That's when you have a psycho society. And then you try to deal with it, and you try to say, hey, you're wrong. And then they go, oh my God, he went nuts on me. He gave me a taste of my own medicine. So it's completely wrong, completely bogus what they're doing out there these days. So from figuring out how one didn't succeed is more valuable at times than trying to reinvent why you can succeed in a new way. The examining of the reason you didn't usually tells one who was honest with it. The examining of the reason you didn't usually tells one who was honest with it. You understand? You did something, and if you're not honest, or you did something to somebody, you're not honest about what happened. You're lying to yourself, you're lying to others. That's exactly what happened in this world. That's why it's good to be upfront. It's good to be upfront. Not only that, you even tell your enemies what you're going to do, because you give them a chance to say, hey, maybe we shouldn't do things that way. Maybe we're wrong about that. Let's change our ways, so we don't get that reaction. So we don't get that, that karmic spew. That's also how humans become conscious, intimate partners. They pay attention to the details of the interaction exchange and make it out the next time, to be specific, with the help of the geo-negative axis and its pinpoint capabilities. So if you're on a negative axis, you are trying to find out how to comfort your partner, how to be one with them. If you're not on a negative axis, then you're simply taking energy. And if you're doing that, you're wasting energy. So you can't be like, if you want to preserve energy, you have to harness each other and be the negative axis, meaning selfless. It's kind of hard because these days people are very, this and that. But if you have that level of agreement, then you could be on a negative axis, and then your relationship could be better, and you don't have any problems. You don't even need to go out of your fidelity. So that's just some some random advice. I wasn't really thinking about it, but that's true. If you stay on the negative axis with your partner, meaning you're not thinking about yourself, you're just trying to please the other within normal means, within fair means. Fair means is a key word, because really what rules you set is what really applies to each other. If you just do things your way and then you say, oh, he can't or she can't do things that way, and I didn't help them but because they can't, then you're automatically bogus. You understand? You're the one that messed up with that relationship. You're trying to make it a positive reality for yourself and diminish your return with that person. You're trying to diminish them. So that was you. The guru, actually my guru would say, really relationships, he would analyze. So many people would come to him. He left his marriage when he was 24 years old. And for years in India, he was like, he was preaching. He had all his disciples, female, male, and many married couples, and they would come and they would want advice. So he basically told them that in that he would he saw that women have the upper hand in leadership, actually. So because they're providing the nourishment in India, at least that's how it is. If people stay together, it's because the woman gave it, her fairness. If she didn't want to give her fairness, then things went to tarnish. Which now with divorce, it becomes a problem because the woman says, okay, you don't want my way, and then I can go another way. So that could be a problem in itself in the whole structure thereof. Okay, so you have to see. I mean, that could be the problem of divorce, if that's ever a concern. Broken homes, it could be a concern, right? Children are taking the brunt, so you got to be careful with that. The common way can be misleading as a person they interact has nothing to do with their set scenario. So the person in that is then reliant on what they know the person doesn't like, and then can present themselves to groove into what they do. As I was just saying. All right. So ended on that note, that basically relationships can be more appealing if you make them appealing. If you make them deprived, then you're only going to deprive yourself. You're part of the relationship. It's part of you. You can only deprive yourself. So that's what ended up happening. And get the book if you haven't got it. It's the Geo-Negative Axis. It's a great piece, but contact me because there's a lot of bootleggers. They're bootlegging me right now. So contact me and I'll help you get a copy.